Alfie, I think we've got a listener question. You want to hit me up with it, sir?
I sure do. This is Jason in Kenton.
Okay, Jason.
Mr. Gaddis, and he writes in, I keep reading that we have an inverted yield curve, and that's bad. Can you explain what this means about a recession, and particularly for real estate?
Interesting. So,
yes.
An inverted yield curve, I'm not an economist, but I think I understand how it works. The federal government sells bonds, and they do it to raise money. It's like the federal government borrowing money from me and you and countries around the world.
Correct.
And an inverted yield curve is when the yield or the effective interest rate on a 2-year bond, or I believe they actually call them bills, is greater than the yield on the 10-year bond. So normally if you tie up money for 10 years, Alfie, you would have to get more interest in order to do that.
Correct.
But right now, you get paid higher interest on a 2-year Treasury bill compared to a 10-year Treasury bill.
Interesting.
So you get more interest. So they say that the yield curve is inverted. But you know, there's a lot of recession fears and concerns out there, and I think we need to be careful. I'm going to give you the definition of a recession. This is from Merriam-Webster's dictionary. And a recession is a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP for 2 successive quarters. Now, what happens, Alfie, I think we think about the Great Recession that happened from 2008 to 2011, right? And so we're not thinking about a recession being a mild decrease in economic output or activity. So let's talk, if we could, Alfie, about what happened with home prices in the U.S. in the last 5 recessions. Let's take a look at the recession in 1980, Alfie. Had a recession. Prices went up 6.1% during the recession of 1980.
Okay.
The next recession was the year later, 1981, when house prices increased 3.5% during the recession.
Okay.
Next recession was 1991. This is the first one I remember because I was an adult enough to understand what was going on. Home prices decreased a whopping 1.9% during the recession.
Okay. All right.
Next recession 10 years later in 2001, Alfie, house prices increased 6.6%. Now, unfortunately, here's the big whammy. This is the recession that started in 2008, and house prices dropped 19.7% in 2008. But as you can see, there are 3 years of positive appreciation and 2 years of negative appreciation associated with recessions. I also want to talk about some projected appreciation over the next few years. Now, this is from a home price expectation survey. And the average of all the economists surveyed say house prices will go up 4.1% in 2019, 2.8% in 2020, 2.5% in 2021, 3% in 2022, and 3.4% in 2023. The reality is, Alfie, there's probably not as many homes out there as buyers desire in the metro Atlanta market. And I think we are having some problems in the higher price ranges, but I think the appreciation for Atlanta is going to stay stable for the next few years. Now, doesn't mean that I don't think you need to be sensitive to what's going on and price your home better and things like that, but I don't think we should be worried about a recession.